Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is a big question. Hey, I'm hosting a big question again. I miss this show. This is a show that gives you too much information about how many different roadies are out there across the multiverse working on their boom. Are you looking for this bits?
Boom, you looking for this?
I'm Erik Voss. I'm here today with Marina Mastros. It's been a minute, Marina.
I know, it's been a minute. It's been a minute for a big question for you, and it's been a minute for you and me together.
I know. I've been holed away in this blue dungeon, counting just weird little red blood blops on a screen, trying to figure out how many Black Widow agents are out there, or weird signs in the background of the Loki void to see what other things have been pruned. But I realized that we're starting to get a sense of how big the Marvel multiverse really is. So I think it's a fun opportunity to talk about that today. Hit me with that big question.
Exactly. So Loki has blown the MC universe wide open. So before this series started, we only knew about a couple of possible timelines, but now we know that there are so many different timelines out there just like smashing into each other. And that leads us to this week's big question, which is how many timelines exist in the MCU?
A bunch! Goodbye, everybody! So, you remember a few years ago when the MCU was just starting to grow, we all had our minds blown away when that first Avengers film came out and managed to pull together all these individual storylines, and then things kept growing and the MCU just got bigger and bigger. We went to space, we learned about magic, we shrunk into the quantum realm, but it all existed in this just one beautiful, now we know, sacred timeline. But then Avengers Endgame happened, and whoa baby, our universe suddenly grew into a multiverse. Branch timelines became a thing, thanks to a quick metaphysics lesson from the Ancient One. So now our boy Cap could go live off a sweet retirement with his main squeeze in a brand new timeline. Let's hope he was able to invest in Google in that timeline. If he didn't, he was a fool, idiot. So really, Avengers Endgame kind of set things in a certain way that there were at least 4 coexisting MCU timelines going on. You had the prime MCU timeline that we now call the sacred timeline, we think. And then Loki escaped into a branch timeline that got pruned, but that's the one that we started the Loki series in. And then we believe Steve and Peggy's love fest happened in another timeline.
Love fest.
We assume that that's all they were doing for at least the end of the 40s, right? I mean, that's what most Americans were doing back then. They were just making baby boomers who destroyed our environment that we now have to live in. But then there's also this other timeline that we call the No Thanos 2014 timeline, because Thanos left that with Gamora and Nebula. So that kind of left this other variant timeline with no Thanos in it. So we know those 4. Now our understanding of the multiverse has been smashed into a smithereens, once again, thanks to the Loki series. And we know there are so many more variants and pruned timelines out there. So I think we should add to those 4 timelines to see if we can figure out just how big the known Marvel cinematic multiverse is. And our logic here is that for every variant, that implies some timeline, whether or not it was pruned, some timeline that either does exist or once existed. Every specific artifact that was left over that we see in the TVA represented some other timeline, and everything in the void, and then anything else that might have been mentioned on the TVA chronomonitor screen of a date and a location of some Nexus event. So, in the Loki series, we meet Sylvie. We know she grew up on Asgard. That was one timeline. Then there's classic Loki, Richard E. Grant's character.
Everyone's favorite.
He's so great. He's fantastic. I want to watch his life. There's even a theory that he could be our same Loki had he did fake his death. Had he did.
I didn't even question it.
Yeah, you know, that's a thing. People just don't question me. I just kind of stammer out stuff and people are like, sounds good. But this guy faked his death against Thanos and then just kind of drifted out into space for whoever knows how long. That was a whole other timeline.
Yep.
You have Kid Loki, who killed Thor when he was a kid. That was another timeline. Boastful Loki. We don't really know what his whole thing was because he's a liar. Alligator Loki came from some timeline where he ate the wrong neighbor's cat. Then we have that Martin guy. Josh Tatum is the guy's name. He was the son of the guy who worked at Goldman Sachs, and he was a variant in episode 1. He got pruned. Some other timeline there, right? We have the Loki variants that Mobius lists. There was 5 of them that he went through. One of them was the Tour de France guy, which was, I believe, a reference to a year when the cup of the Tour de France went missing. So I think that was kind of linked to Loki there.
Well, there was one guy watching that who was like, I get it!
And he was on a bike and then he crashed into something.
What?
Then there was that one bearded variant that young Sylvie sees getting arrested, and she's like, help him! He came from somewhere, Marina. He mattered.
Don't think that just because he had one line, he didn't matter, because he did.
That one line was just the top piece of paper of a long stack of lifelong dialogue.
Yeah.
And we'll never know what it was. And then, of course, President Loki, he came from Timeline. And then his whole army, minus the one that we already saw Mobius list off. So that was another 9 Lokis. So right there, that's 21 more timelines added to the MCU. Boom.
You looking for this?
You're welcome. So I believe we're at 25 right now. I don't know. Maybe we're at 21. I can't math. But Marina, since we know that all TVA employees are variants as well from their own timelines, they also count. So,
oh God,
we got Mobius M. Mobius coming from a jet skiing timeline, we have to assume.
Yeah, baby.
Then we got Ravonna Renslayer. And then we got some hunters. We know B-15, there's C-20, there's D-90, there's U-92. And then Casey, our friend Eugene Cordero, he comes from a timeline in which he doesn't know what fish are.
I love him.
He's amazing and everything. Then we have the woman in the library who shushed Loki, and then the main librarian. We got the scanner clerk, the paperwork clerk, and the cute little cat. Young Sylvie's judge, who was a different guy than Renslayer. And then that variant who kind of looks like Peggy Carter, we think. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then the guy behind the glass who's taking tickets. And then, according to IMDb, there are 18 credited Minutemen. Some of them get killed by Sylvie. And then 5 credited analysts. But then there's like also 8 TVA employees sitting in the courtroom between Loki and young Sylvie's trials. And then 30 other, we think, background TVA employees and Minutemen that aren't quite credited, but you see at least like 30 or so extras that are running around. So all of these employees that we see would add to another 75 timelines to our multiverse.
God, oh my God.
And I know you might be asking, Marina, because I'm reading your mind, and I assume you're asking this.
I am.
Why couldn't some of them just have been pruned from the same timeline? No, that's not how Nexus events work, right? Like you were the one Nexus event that skewed a new timeline into a new multiverse. And the fact that it's pruned doesn't matter. There's still evidence of it once existing. And maybe not all of them got pruned. Maybe some of them lived on. Maybe the TVA is lying about whether the sacred timeline really doesn't exist in a multiverse. I think that's the case, right?
Yeah.
So there are objects of the TVA as well. There's props. Every little thing is
my God.
magic.
Every little thing you do is magic.
Every little thing needs to get pruned.
Everything that creates a timeline.
So, starting with the crap we see in Casey's evidence locker there, right? So there's 19 different Infinity Stones.
Oh!
Whoa, baby.
Wow.
And then about 15 other objects. There was like a rare baseball card in there. There was a dagger. There was a French military medal. It's a bit hard to tell. But on Ravonna Renslayer's shelf, there's a snow globe, and there are 11 other objects. There's also that pen from FDR High School. That's important, right? Now we can move on to the Nexus events that occur in the series and are often shown on the ticker on the chronomonitor screen.
Ooh.
So Sylvie makes 3 before we officially meet her. They show one in France, one in Oklahoma, and then the Ren Fair. That's in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Then Sylvie bombs the sacred timeline, and we get 26 more branches that's listed on those screens in different areas in years. And I did a whole video breaking them down. I don't know if that's ever really that important.
But you did it anyway!
Those timelines presumably existed, and they were pruned, and everything's fine now. But then from various other shots of temp pads and chronomonitors, like when we just see different locations flickering across, and in my breakdowns they say, hey look, that says Seoul, South Korea. That adds up to 18 more Nexus events. So that adds 47 more timelines to our growing multiverse.
Oh my God.
I know. But now it is time to look at the void that we saw in episode 5. And this place
Oh my God.
just full of it. It's full of prune timelines.
Do it, Eric, do it.
We can do this.
Let's do this thing!
So there's the big Easter eggs we see. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Sphinx in the pyramids, the Thanos copter, the giant yellow jacket helmet, the heads of the Living Tribunal. In total, there are 19 of those that I spotted in episode 5. Now, in that bowling alley where the Loki's hideout is, there's more items like the Polybius arcade game, Space Mission pinball, the candy canes that are all part of the Santaland setup, the ecto-cooler high C box. It's difficult to say what came from the bowling alley, what might have already been there, and what was salvaged from the void and brought in there. But it's safe to assume that among all that's been collected, that we can see there's probably at least 20 more timelines representing the bowling alley. I mean, there's also that old 1930 monster book. There's the Rocks Cart wine that they're drinking. Like, you gotta assume.
That's like a very safe estimate.
Yeah. We're even lowballing it there. Now, Sylvie wakes up in a bus, and it's picked up by Mobius in a pizza car. So that's 2 more. That bus came from somewhere. The pizza car came somewhere else. Stroke.
You know what? Has anybody said that the pizza car could be from, I mean, it's all Disney, but the Pixar, what's in
Pizza
Toy
Planet?
Story? The Pizza Planet?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked about that. No, you were the first one, Marina. Well done. Because we recorded this. No, there have been a few people that ask. But you're the first person to ask me in person. And
good.
I'm holding my Starbucks straw right now. And that's important.
Oh, you're going to have to cut a bunch of that.
No, we're leaving. This is a good stuff. We're leaving it
Okay.
No cuts. Hey, it could be a Pixar Pizza Planet thing. It just, I'm trying to remember if Pizza Planet ever had like a springy slice of pizza. I think it was a rocket ship usually on the top of the car, wasn't it?
Okay.
But in each movie where Pizza Planet shows up, it kind of takes a different form, you know? So you see Pizza Planet throughout the ages.
I'm going to say it is.
Go for it. Yes.
Yay, it is.
It is. I wanted Mobius to show up as Lightning. Is that too hard to ask?
That's so cute.
Ka-chow, that would have been cute. But alas, I dropped my Starbucks straw. I'm going to pick it up with my monkey feet, and I got it. Yes.
Because this is important.
Now, finally, we got to consider the buildings in the void. Each building likely represents its own prune timeline, right? Because a lot of them are specific. There's the Kang Tower. There's the bowling alley. There's Dom's barbershop. I assume that's where Toretto went before he lost all his hair. Loki's our family. We get this sweeping shot of what we call the downtown area, the void. It's hard to see them all, but each building we think is a separate timeline. It includes, there's a Sanctum Sanctorum among them. It looks like there's about 70 buildings as we sweep in to see.
Oh my God.
And then in the background, there's another huge collection of buildings on that horizon. So I think, based off of the area we just passed, that other area seems bigger. I think that's safe to say it's another 100 buildings.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Yeah, why not?
Why not? You gotta think, like, in the downtown area of any major city, it's about 100, you gotta say.
At minimum.
At minimum. Now, there's also some random items that we're able to see in the void. Like, there's power lines. There's just a stray house. There's subway cars. Something dropped from the sky that looked freshly pruned that everyone was like, it's Cap. But I'm like, it doesn't look like Cap. It looks like some weird ship that has like a trombone, a bullshit trombone funnel at the end. All in all, those kind of add to another 40 more timelines of those.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So the void in total adds 251 more timelines.
Wow.
So once we add all of this up, we get a grand total of 444 known timelines in the MCU multiverse. Quite a step up from the 4 we knew about just a little a month ago. But guys, we got 10 episodes of What If coming up. So that's at least 454. And we don't know if certain MCU properties might have taken place in alternate timelines. Like Red Guardian was talking about fighting Cap. He couldn't have been fighting Steve Rogers or Isaiah Bradley. So what Cap was he fighting if not some multiversal traveler? Is that 456 we're at now? And then in the finale, when He Who Remains talks about the other Kang variants who warred with each other, throughout that tableau it was implied to be infinite, though we saw precisely 17 of them. And then at the end of the episode, as B-15 and Mobius look at the chronomonitor screen, add those up, that's 53 more new timelines forming, and then call me crazy. But I tried to count all those lightning bolt branches orbiting the Citadel. Here's how I did it. I took the frame where it looks the most spiderwebby before we cut away from it. And then I estimated that about 10% of the visible frame shows about, from what I could count, 180 timeline strands. So multiplying that up by 10 for this one frame, that's 1,800 more timeline strands. But then if you think about it, this frame just shows one wedge of what the full timeline ring would be. So based on the angle, I'm gonna say this shows about 1/6 of the full loop. So that would mean at least 10,800 branches formed when the sacred timeline fractured. Probably a lot more than that, but this is what we can see in the episode. So adding up the number we got up to, 456 plus 17 plus 53 plus 10,800, we have at least, Marina, 11,326 timelines that we have visual or corroborating evidence for confirmed in the MCU. Whew.
Nice work, Erik. That's so much.
Thank you. And thank you to off-screen producer Brandon Barrick. He helped me track down a lot of these ones. It's a lot of counting. A lot of our job. People are like, how do you find all these Easter eggs? I'm like, I literally stick my face close to the screen. And Brandon can tell you this now. He had to do this. Stick your face close to the screen and then grab your Starbucks. Shit, where did it go?
Yeah. This is the
grab your Starbucks.
Part, yeah.
This is why it's important. And I count. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I screen grab it and I bring it into Photoshop and I brighten it and I adjust the contrast. I'm like, oh, that letter is QENG. Got it. You gotta do the dirty work. It's not any brilliance. It's just doing the damn homework and being willing to delay your video a day.
Well done, Erik. Well done, Brandon.
There's no magic to this. Well, if you haven't already seen, we've dropped some exclusive Black Widow inspired merch over at newrockstarsmerch.com. There's our limited edition latest Obsession shirt and some cool stickers, other shirt designs inspired by the movie. You can even get a Red Ledger journal. It looks great. So whether you're getting the hourglass design, the Russian nesting doll design, they all look pretty great. And this journal, just a great place to write down all the people you've assassinated or just all the boys you're crushing on. And you can find all those and all of our other merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Also a great place to pick up one of our Loki inspired shirts, which hopefully there's still some while supplies last. But before we dive into our bite-sized questions next, that Marina's going to answer for us, just some words from the folks that help us bring you Big Question. Credit Karma! So Credit Karma wants to help you with a Credit Karma Money Spend account. Get rewarded for good money habits. Credit Karma Money is a brand new checking account where you can win cash reimbursements for making purchases with Credit Karma Money. When you use your Credit Karma Money debit card, you can win daily instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. Just pay with your Credit Karma Money debit card, and if you win, you'll be notified on the spot, and your instant Karma cash will be added back to your spend account. Credit Karma Money has already given away over $3 million in instant Karma. Open your FDIC insured spend account for free, and when you make a purchase between July 1st and July 23rd, you'll be automatically entered to win $1 million thanks to Credit Karma Money. Right now, visit creditkarma.com/winmoney to open your free account and start winning with instant Karma. Go to creditkarma.com/winmoney to sign up for free and start winning instant Karma. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc., member FDIC, maximum balance and transfer limits apply. Also, thanks to MeUndies for sponsoring this episode. There are some simple pleasures in life that help to make your day a little better. When you have enough ketchup for every fry, or when you find the perfect parking spot, or when your underwear is so comfortable you want to do a little dance when you put it on. Well, MeUndies has the most dance-worthy underwear I have ever worn. Their breathable, super soft underwear comes with everything from classic colors to ridiculous prints in a range of sizes from extra small to 4 extra large. Never leave your couch again with a MeUndies membership. A monthly subscription that sends you new pairs right to your door. So when you shit right through your boxers every first Friday, you don't have to worry. A new order's coming right your way. This monthly subscription sends you new pairs right to your door. Each month, you'll choose new undies, socks, and a bralette, and pick the style and color or print that feels the most you. Plus, enjoy discounted pricing and free shipping and exclusive early access to new launches. Love your butt and get the membership. MeUndies also has their problem-free philosophy. If you're not satisfied with any product for any reason, they'll refund or exchange it. No caveats, no questions. So to get 15% off your first order and free shipping, go to MeUndies.com/bigquestion. That's MeUndies.com/bigquestion. Hey, Marina!
Yeah, buddy!
Are you ready for some bite-sized questions?
Yes, I am.
Let's do this. So our first question comes from Alice Rose on Discord. Thank you for supporting us, by the way. What are the Ragnarok rules for Asgard in the MCU versus the comics? Also, if regular Asgardians die during Ragnarok, will they come back?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Alice Rose. Keep those questions coming, everybody. So the events that lead up to Ragnarok in the MCU are fairly straightforward. This was probably done to simplify the event since they have to pack all of Ragnarok into a single film, so we don't blame them for that.
Mm-hmm.
The crown of Surtur needed to be reunited with the Eternal Flame to restore Surtur to full power and destroy Asgard. In the comics, Ragnarok is depicted as more of a cycle that repeats itself over and over eons of time. It is the death and destruction of Asgard and some of its gods, but it's also their rebirth. So the cycle of Ragnarok was set in motion by those who sit above in shadow. And these are sort of primal gods who feed off of the energies that are released during Ragnarok, which actually makes sense scientifically because I watched a documentary on black holes and they actually release radiation, which is crazy because we used to think that nothing came out of them. Isn't that wild?
And now we know. Wow, that's fascinating.
I know, and that's real science and scary. According to the prophet Vala, there are several events that precede Ragnarok. So an incredibly powerful winter known as the Fimbul winter. I'm not Norwegian, but this is how I'm gonna pronounce things.
Go for it.
I'm gonna do my best.
Uh-huh.
Fimbul winter falls over Asgard, causing panic among the citizens and eventually leads to infighting because everybody's struggling for resources. And then also Loki will trick the blind god Hodor into killing Balder the Brave, Thor's half-brother. So, once these events happen, Heimdall sounds the horn announcing Ragnarok has begun. The next events are Loki leads trolls and giants into Asgard across the Bifrost. Heimdall will destroy the Rainbow Bridge, but he will also be killed by the invading army. Thor and Loki will meet for their final conflict, but they will be interrupted by the Midgard serpent. And then finally, Surtur shows up from Muspelheim and finishes off Asgard. That sounds German.
Yeah, it's Norse.
Muspelheim? Yeah. I don't know, I'm not very good at it. Yeah. Whoever is Nordic in the internet is like just shaking.
You know, they've had to deal with people mispronouncing their language all the time, and we apologize every time because we love you guys.
Yeah, sorry.
But you got long words.
It's true. So then eventually a new race of gods rises up from the ashes, and this whole thing begins again. Mm-hmm. So all of this happens before around the time of 81, when Jesus is like really busy during that time.
Yeah, being a baby and doing nothing yet.
But some of the
why am I being so mean to the baby Jesus? He's just not getting killed. Did not have an easy life. Born in a manger.
Put in some work. Put in some work, buddy. But so some of these events were actually different than how Vala described. Oh. So, like for example, Odin is killed by the Fenris wolf, Loki and Heimdall kill each other, and Thor was killed by the Midgard serpent's venom. And another previous Ragnarok occurred around 1 million BC, according to Buri, Thor's great-grandfather. But some of the events of that Ragnarok also didn't align with the prophecy.
Prophecy says...
Never mind what the prophecy says.
So the other question is, but what about the MCU? So Ragnarok was pretty much just Surtur destroying Asgard, but some other events from Vala's prophecy in the comics came true. Like, Loki brought the frost giants into Asgard in the film Thor, and Odin died in Thor Ragnarok. And even Heimdall died, right? Like, eventually.
Yeah, shortly after, a few months after.
Yeah, that counts. So there were some elements of Vala's prophecy that did come true. And just so we don't think it's over, the cycle continues, because New Asgard has been established in Tonsberg. It sounds German every time.
Yeah.
In Tonsberg, Norway, and they have a new ruler in Valkyrie, which I'm very excited about. And as for Asgardians being brought back, they don't really get reborn like the god figures do. They prefer to make people the old-fashioned way.
Ah, yeah, that's my favorite way. In tubes. Oh, but yes, well, some of us were assembled in laboratories.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a test tube baby. I was built with the parts of dead convicts and then Philip flipped a switch.
You're a Frankenstein.
I'm not familiar with the reference. I was built with the bodies of... dead prisoners. What's wrong with that?
It's alive!
Anywho, excellent job, Marina. What a very thorough answer to that question. Okay, so another question from one of our Discord users. We have Yanis Julius, who asks, can the pheromones or anything even remotely close to them from the Black Widow movie exist?
Thanks, Giannis. Okay, so this is actually kind of a wild answer. So whether or not a secret pheromone weapon exists similar to the one from Black Widow, we don't know. But I'm pretty sure like Cinnabon is the same thing because like you can't be close to it. Like, you know what happens is you just turn into a cartoon and do that floaty thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, like a pie on the windowsill and you just float over to it. And then you like Garfield scarf it. Nom.
Yeah, so they obviously already have the technology. It's just called cinnamon. Yeah. But what's wild is that we do know that the US government has done research into the potential of harnessing pheromones. So in 2007, the US Army backed a study called Identification and Isolation of Human Alarm Pheromones. They studied the bodily fluids of subjects participating in their first ever tandem skydive, which I have done, and is a lot of chemicals going on. Wow. Mostly you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And then a lot of adrenaline, stuff like that. So that makes sense. So they were trying to find a certain chemical in human fear sweat. And by the time I got on the ground, I was drenched.
Oh, fear sweat. Yeah, I've sweated buckets of fear sweat. It's great. Very valuable to the government.
Yeah, you should just donate it next time. And the Pentagon, through DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, in 2004, commissioned a study called, stay with me on this, Integrated System for Emotional State Recognition for the Enhancement of Human Performance and Detection of Criminal Intent.
Wow, this is a whole origin story for me.
It is, Eric. Close, but they did want to develop systems that could monitor people's pheromones to determine their intent. So this is crazy. They wanted to make something, and you can think of it as like a security measure for places like military bases or airports. So they could see if someone was emitting pheromones that indicated they were about to do something bad.
So is this like the TSA agent saying like, smells like a terrorist, lock him up?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. But it didn't work, obviously, because, it doesn't. And also, but they also do, like, whenever I go through the airport, they always, like, smell me a lot. So.
Yeah, they do. That's just kind of what the dog does, right? But they're like, well, we learned this from the dog. Is that why you're smelling down there?
It's just because I'm nervous, and they're like, she's going to do something. But this is even crazier. There's another more infamous project that the military considered in 1994. 1994,
Pretty recent.
Yeah. The United States Air Force Laboratory put together a 3-page proposal for this is insane. This is, and I'm quoting, a gay bomb, okay?
Hold on. I've ordered one of those at the Abbey before. They taste great.
And they actually are really good. The concept behind this $7.2 million research proposal was simple. Drop a bomb that sprays female sex pheromones over enemy troops in order to make them sexually attracted to each other. They'd be too busy to fight. Well, which, of course, this idea is like absolutely insane and the project was rejected. But just think about it. Somebody sat there and wrote that proposal and they were like, it's going to cost $7.2 million. We can probably just get these soldiers to each other instead of fighting. Instead of pheromones, they could have just like dropped a bunch of Viagra and everybody just gone.
They could, yeah. And they're just horny. They can't control it. Yeah, that's a real bong hit idea.
Oh man. But so pheromones are part of our genetic makeup, and there is research to suggest that they do subconsciously affect the choices we make. However, we have not been able to unlock the technology to weaponize these pheromones against us. Not yet anyway, so we're safe for now.
All right. Well, thank God. Okay, Marina, we got time for one box of scrap question, and I really like the question this week. It is, have you ever found yourself in a position where you have been right about something, but no one believes you?
I mean, this is still unprovable. Yes, many times. Everyone believes you, but no one believes me. But this is still to this day, no one believes me, and it's fine. But I know I'm right. I live in LA, and my childhood home is in LA, in a suburb, and it's not like where wild animals would be, but I was like 13 and my room was on the second story and my window faced the backyard, and at like 2 or 3 in the morning, I heard like a really strong, like something shaking the branch of a tree, and I was like, what? So I like opened the window, looked out, and granted it was dark, but I am right. I'm right that there was a monkey in the tree, because it's a pine tree. Like my neighbor's tree is a pine tree, and it's giant. It's like a redwood. It's huge. And in order to shake those branches, you have to be so strong. And it was shaking not like a little bit. It was like, like it would look like it was going to snap the branch off. And I was like, and I ran into my parents' room and I was like, wake up, there's a monkey in the yard. And they were like, no, there's not. You're a child.
You idiot.
Yeah, go to bed.
To sleep, stupid.
I went to my brother's room and I was like, wake up, there's a monkey in the yard. He was like, shut up, no, go back to bed. And I just sat there and watched this monkey be in my yard for like 15 more minutes or whatever, and then it left. And to this day, no one believes me. However, here's my evidence that that I think it's true. In Burbank, in Pasadena, in LA, little suburbs, there's literally parrots, green parrots that have.
I've heard of the parrots.
Yes, they're real and they're around, and they've escaped. It's because they escaped the LA zoo, and now they reproduce and they're just like out in the wild. So it's not out of the question that some shit escaped the LA zoo and was in my yard.
Now, can you just, my instinct, even now, even though this is a story I believe you're true, my first gut instinct was like, no, she didn't.
I know.
She didn't see a monkey.
I know.
What kind of monkey was it? Was it like the, capuchin, like Indiana Jones, Bad Dates monkey?
No, it would have to have been like, based on the, scientifically based on the amount, the width of the branch and the strength with which it was being shaken, I'm going to say a small chimp.
Whoa, wait. Well, okay, so we're not talking monkey. We're talking ape. This is, you think it's a chimpanzee that you...
Like
now it's harder for me to believe.
I know.
Because chimpanzees, they're smart.
It's fine. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. This is what happens to me every time I tell the story. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I'm used to it.
You're being gaslit by everyone you know. We've all talked without you in the room saying, look, Marina saw this monkey. She was not supposed to see the monkey. The monkey's going to surprise her in a couple years from now, but she cannot see the monkey.
I've told this story countless times. Not a single goddamn person has ever believed me or even thought it to be possible, so it's fine.
Well, shortly after I met you, whether it was at like our improv theater or a bar or at a birthday party of some other friend, I went to the bathroom and the monkey was there smoking and said, one day she's going to bring up that she saw me outside of her window. I don't know why he has an accent. I don't know what accent that is. It's a little Russian or a little French.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great story.
It's fine. It's fine. It
So
doesn't
interested.
Matter.
Marina's monkey mystery.
What's yours, buddy?
I have to think for a second because my problem is the opposite. Sometimes I get stuff wrong, like a trivia night with friends, and I'll be like, I think it's Azerbaijan. And people are like, that sounds like Erik knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And they'll say, write down Azerbaijan, and it's not Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
And then, so I have the opposite problem. I'm too trustworthy when you should doubt me more. But I do remember, I mean, you know how like there are these injustices that happen to you in grade school and they kind of stay with you? But because you were like 9 years old, no one thinks that anything you say means anything.
Yeah.
Well, I went to a Catholic school and in 4th grade. Oh, okay. So you know how horrible that is.
Yeah.
Like you get a grade in religion.
I know.
Yeah. Just spend whatever that extra 45 minutes a day teaching us more math, please.
Yeah, really.
Would have been useful. But no, they, in 4th grade, we alternated teachers. So we had one teacher who taught us certain subjects, whatever that block style is.
Yeah.
And so we had one teacher who was not our homeroom teacher who just like hated everyone in our class. Like she was so mean to us all the time. And I was a goody little two-shoes. I always did my homework on time. I never got in trouble. Never did anything bad. So like, everyone would be so excited whenever I screwed up or got in trouble. They'd be like, yes, finally. And it was right at the end of the school year.
Oh my God.
And I you're supposed to, for your religion homework, you'd be getting an assignment. You had to do these certain pages of whatever the exercises are. And at the end, they did a thing called Family Corner or something like that.
Okay.
Where you had to sit with your parents and do like exercises with them, read a Bible verse, talk with them about whatever the lesson was. And they signed it at the end. And for me, I'm like, I would always do my homework on time, but my parents were just like getting drunk or hanging out with their friends or yelling at one of my other siblings. I couldn't always find time. I'm one of five.
Right.
So we would have 2 days to do our religion homework. I would always put that one off to the second night. Well, for whatever reason, our teacher decided, you know what? I'm mad at this class today. I'm going to check in their homework on the first day. Like, rather than the second day. I'm like, but it's not due to the second day. And she held us accountable for all that. And I'm like, but I didn't know. But she's so intimidating. And I was like, well, then for all those kids, she made us stand up as she yelled at all of us. And then she gave us an extra assignment to do. And I was so panicked from getting in trouble that first time, I didn't write down exactly what page numbers to do. So I went home and I did the page numbers. And I had my parents finally sign it. And they're like, whatever, fine. God. I should just, what most kids did was they just forged their parents' signature. I should have learned to do that, but I was
you
too
were
good of a
too
kid.
honest,
And then, but I did the wrong pages, and then the teacher got really mad at me. And I was one of 2 kids who fucked that part of it up. So she made us miss recess, and because it was the end of the school year, the recess that day was like a special party for all the kids. And I wasn't allowed to go to it. I had to sit in her classroom. And she left, and I finished. She's like, you need to fill your page with I will not, I will not, I will not. And I did, and I finished, and she left. She was gone. She left us unattended, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go back to the party.
Yeah.
And then she got super pissed at me and screamed at me. And then my homeroom teacher who liked me, she's like, Eric, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I tried to explain. I'm like, I have an excuse, but you're not good at like arguing on your behalf as a kid.
Because you're a literal child.
And I couldn't explain that I didn't do anything wrong. But I think this teacher was just glad to nail me. And even though it was a stupid thing, it's because there was just like injustice upon injustice.
Yeah.
If you're like a privileged white man and nothing bad has ever happened to you, the one bad thing that has happened to you where it wasn't your fault just stays with you and haunts you. But for everyone else in the world, shit like this happens all the time. And I feel so bad. For everyone has to have just random injustices thrust upon them. I get your oppression. I understand it. I empathize. I'm with you. I've had it just as hard as you. What am I saying?
That's so funny. Little tiny baby Eric being like, but I did my homework.
But I did it. And he's like, why did you leave the room? But because it all began with, I didn't belong there to begin with. I'm a good kid. Shut up. But ultimately, I needed that. I needed probably someone to just be like, you're a little jerk and you need to just have something bad happen to you.
That's so funny, because if that was the thing that formed you into the human you are, then, we can't say much.
The anxiety-ridden person of always crossing every T, dotting every I.
No, I was going to say you're so nice. And then when I do miss
something, I have a nervous breakdown.
That too. That teacher sounds nuts. I hope she was a substitute. Yeah.
I think she was a full-time teacher.
No.
And she had the reputation of just like nailing every kid to the wall that she could.
The nice ones, terrifying. The good ones. Oh,
I had the nice one. The other one was mean. But that's what I had to do with. Anyway. Well, what an episode. This has been a big question. If I'm a little rusty, I apologize. It's been a bit since I've done Big Question. I've just enjoyed watching all of you guys host it and co-host it. MT's so funny, and you're so funny. Jessica's so funny. Tommy's so funny. So I've been enjoying everything you guys do.
Oh, thanks, bud.
I'll be able to do more of these in the future, but if not, and it's good to know it's been in good hands. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Question podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. Follow New Rockstars everywhere on social media, and subscribe here on YouTube. Follow Marina at Marina Mastros on all social media.
Yep.
Follow me at Erik Voss. Be sure to check out our great merch options. Again, newrockstarsmerch.com. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Look out for the monkey.
Don't you tell Marina. I shake the tree.